السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless this gathering, mashallah. We're inshallah ta'ala doing the al-Murbi reviewing from the beginning, inshallah ta'ala, the chapter of al-Miyah wal-Aniyah wal-Istinja wa Sunan al-Fitra. Sunan al-Fitra, these four chapters, and again, hopefully, that everyone went through them, reviewing every word of it, and it's important to be able to understand everything that is written in there. These are books. There is mutun, even with the shuruh of it, even with the explanations of it, it's meant to be studied word by word. It's not about just general meaning of it, but word by word, and having the difficulty to understand sometimes what is meant by this sentence, by this mas'ala, what's exactly the mas'ala is, what's the damir refers to, and all kinds of things like this. It's very important to go through that and to keep on making sure that it's understood, so that we benefit that way, inshallah. So as mentioned, inshallah, we'll start first if there's any questions, and if there is not, then we can briefly talk about these four chapters quickly, inshallah ta'ala, to make sure that we try to cover most of it, inshallah. So first of all, do you have any questions in these four chapters that you would specify the page number, and then we can go through this mas'ala that is needed, the questions for. Any questions, inshallah? So if there's any questions, just to understand, for example, the first one, which is Kitabul Miyah, and the wisdom behind having this is the first chapter, which is the condition for the salah, to make wudu. So it goes from the very beginning of what's the wudu is made with, or the tahara, which is the foundation, which is the condition for the ibadah. So this is where the subject of a tahara, and what comes under the meaning of a tahara. One of the great benefits, and I also want to point that out so that it's clear. One of the great benefits of learning the books of fiqh from the beginning to the end, like this book, is that when you're looking for a matter, where to look for it, where to find it. And this is not a simple thing. We're not talking about making a search over the internet. It's about having the ability to go to the books of ilm, to research a matter, to find a subject. So what is the content of the book of Kitab al-Tahara? What's in it? You would find things that might not be just related or directly related to the subject of al-Tahara, or what a person might think. But some of the content of things, like, for example, things to wear, things that is not permissible to wear, the types of, like, for example, Kitab al-Aniyah. Kitab al-Aniyah, where is a person can find whether this material is permissible versus not. So things of that nature, this is in Kitab al-Tahara. Now, okay, there's a question, فَإِن تَغَيَّرَ بِغَيْرِ مُمَازِج, which is very easy here, but if you're able with the question to mention the page number, that would be good, inshallah. So this is in page 71 from the book, when it talked about the definition of al-tahara, and then saying here, فَإِن تَغَيَّرَ بِغَيْرِ مُمَازِج, when the water is changed, and whether it's changed with something that is najis versus something that is changed with something that is pure. So if it's changed with something that is pure, if it's still water, that means it's tahur, it's permissible to use for tahara. But if it's changed with something najis, then here is the issue, whether it's ma'un kathir or qalil. What constitutes to be lots of water versus small amount of water. And this is something that is fixed with very specific quantity, which is the issue of al-qullatin, versus the other opinion without the qullatin, just in general, what changes the water or not. So if the change, I'm just reviewing the mas'ala in general. So if the water was qalil, was less than qullatin, according to what we learned here and according what's mentioned, if najas, if impurity falls in it, doesn't matter whether it changes the color or the taste or the smell of the water, then it's impure because it's qalil. If it's in lots of water, which is all qullatin and over, and it did not change any of the characteristics of the water, then the water is pure because it's kathir, not because it didn't change. It's just the matter of qalil versus kathir. But if it changes the الماء الكثير, lots of water, then of course it's obviously that it's impure. This is the subject of those who would take the subject of the al-Qullatain, which is there. Otherwise, if it changed anything with the najas, then of course the water is impure. So here in this mas'ala, فَإِن تَغَيَّرَ بِغَيْرِ مُمَازِجٍ, then if the water is mixed or changed, but with something that is not mumazij, غَيْرُ مُخَالِط, that means it's not something that is soluble, something that would be disappears when it gets into the water. That means it stays there. It's not something that can be dissolved in water. And he gives the example كقطع كافور, كافور the كقطع كافور كافور or عود قمري, some type of عود ودهن, and the دهن fat or the like of it, and it's طاهر of course على اختلاف أنواعه, with different types of it. قاله في الشرح وفي معناه ما تغير بالقطران والزفت والشمع لأن فيه دهينية يتغير بها الماء. So these are the different types that which is the غير ممازج. And ممازجة is when something is mixed that it disappears. It becomes part of the other source. Two things get together, they become one thing. You cannot separate them from one another. This is the ممازج. غير ممازج, that means you can separate them from one another. It does not get dissolved, but it changes. So it falls in, like for example, a piece of fat. It changes the water, makes the water changes, and it's not the same as it was before, but the dohn still there. The piece of fat is still there. Or these types of things, القطران والزفت والشمع, wax and the tar and the like of this. So it has some fatness in it that causes the water to change. So this is غير ممازج. Comes with it, what's the ruling of it? What's the ruling of that water? But then you add to it with the same ruling أو بملح مائي لا معدني فيسلبه الطهورية. الملح المائي, or the salt, the water salt, which is something that is different than the salt that would dissolve. So this is a special thing that does not dissolve into the water. Or سخن بنجس, or another thing that comes into the same ruling, if it was heated with najis. The najis is not inside of the water, but it's heated with fat of pig's fat, for example, outside of the pot. So that means it's not inside of the water. So these three things, the rulings of it is kurih. It's makruh. So this is the ruling of it, that it's all makruh. Why is it makruh? Because it's not something that we can say that it's, first of all, if it's changed it with something impurity, with something that is impure, of course it makes it najis. But the water changed, and it still can be given the name water, and it's something that is not mixed or any of these things that are mentioned here. That means it's disliked, but it's closer to what makes it, whether it loses the matter, the fact that it's water, or it's mixed with something that is impure, which is here heated with something impure. It does not impurifies the water, but it's makruh. Why? Because we're supposed to stay away from anything that is najis. So this is makruh. إن لم يحتج إليه. And this is a principle in the fiqh, that if something that is makruh, because it's close to the haram, If it's needed, it's not makruh anymore. So one of the things that drops the ruling of makruh if it's needed. Whether it's سواء ظن وصولها إليه أو كان الحائل حصينا أو لا ولو بعد أن يبرد لأنه لا يسلم غالبا من صعود أجزاء لطيفة إليه. So whether a person think that the najasa might reach or the barrier was very strong, or so it would never be safe 100%, but you can't give the ruling that this is something that is haram. So and the same thing then he continues with something that is makhsub and the like of this. So this is with the غير ممازج, or when the matter is not mixed. And of course whether it's sorry, whether it's ملح مائي or ملح معدني, even though this is in the madhab, and معدني is the one that is extracted from the bottom of the earth versus the one that is in the water. So the other riwayah and the other opinion is there's no differences because they're all the same, as long as it does not affect the water with the characteristics of it, inshallah. And as you see in the Kitab al-Tahara, it's very important to find where the ruling is, especially when there are things to be listed, أو, like this, and then you find the rulings at the end. What's makruh, what's not permissible, what makes it loses the tahara, for example. Then the ماء المستعمل, the mas'ala at the top of page 81. Here, page 81. وإن تغير لونه أو طعمه أو ريحه بطبخ أو ساقط فيه أو رفع بقليله حدث أو غمس فيه يد قائم من نوم أو من نوم ليل ناقد لوضوء أو كان آخر غسلة زالت النجاسة بها فطاهر. So all of these things are طاهر, in the category of طاهر. That means it's pure, but it is not to be used for wudu or ghusl to matter of tahara. But it's طاهر, it's not najis. So here, what is this part? وإن تغير لونه أو طعمه أو ريحه. So the color is changed, the taste is changed, the smell is changed. So these are the three characteristics of the water. أو كثير من صفة من تلك الصفات, or one of these characteristics is لا يسير منها, not just something small, a major change to it. Whether it's, now these are the examples, whether it's because it's been cooked, something is cooked in it, something pure is cooked in it, tomatoes, tomato paste, things like this. أو بطاهر من غير جنس الماء لا يشق صونه عنه, or with something pure but it's not from water, and it's not something that is could been avoided, like the algae and things like this. ساقط فيه, that fell in it. كزعفران لا تراب ولو قصدا. They separated the za'faran versus saffron, for example, if it's fell in it, لا تراب. So if it changed one of the characteristics, because it's so much that fell in it, that makes it tahir and not tahur. But the turab, they said it's different. Why? Because the turab is one of the tahurin. The dust is one of the tahurin. If you don't have water, you make it or use the turab for tayammum. So if there's lots of dust or sand in the water, it doesn't take away the tuhuriyya from the water. ولو قصدا, even if it's intentional. If there's, of course, there's still water in it. ولا ما لا يمازجه مما تقدم, and what's not ممازج, as it's mentioned before. All of that is طاهر. So the exception here is التراب. So if something falls into the water that is not able to separate it, and it changed, lots of change to any of its characteristics, then it's طاهر, not tahur. That means it cannot be used for wudu. But for the turab is exceptional, because the turab is one of the two materials that is used for removing the impurity when it comes to whether to make wudu or to make tayammum. That's why they made an exception ruling for the turab here. So if this is what made it not clear, because he says why it's طاهر, لأنه ليس بماء مطلق. It's not water. You cannot give the title or the name of it as water because it's not water anymore. It's lemon juice, it's tomato paste, it's something else. And not water that can be used for tahara. It's not called water. And we're commanded to make wudu with water. Barakallah fiqh. طيب, the bottom of page 192 to 193 to understand what lam yuqbal is referring the statement of mockery or referring the ruling that come along with being Muslim. Okay, so let's go to the page. I know what is that referring to, but let's go to it. 192 and 193. This is in Kitab al-Salam. So the bottom of 92. طيب, the مسألة here فإن صلى الكافر على اختلاف أنواعه. Right, so the salah that is not valid here, if a kafir made salah, what doesn't matter what kind of kufr that he's upon, في دار الإسلام أو الحرب جماعة أو منفردة من مسجد أو غيره, in any place, doesn't matter whether he's in a Muslim land or not, جماعة or not, فمسلم حكما. Right, we don't have to, if he made salah, that means he's Muslim. We give the ruling with what appears to be, because in salah you have to say the shahada. فلو مات عقب الصلاة فتركته لأقاربه المسلمين. So someone is seen to make salah, so the ruling is that he's a Muslim. So if he dies right after he makes the salah, even though he did not declare himself as a Muslim, so, and then we don't know exactly how to deal with his inheritance and things like this, then it's to the Muslims, those relatives that are Muslims, because he died as a Muslim, because he was making salah. Because the hadith of the Prophet عليه الصلاة والسلام, العهد الذي بيننا وبينهم الصلاة فمن تركها فقد كفر. The covenant between us and them, meaning the disbelievers, is the salah. Whoever leaves it, he disbelieved. ويغسل ويصلى عليه, and he is to be washed and to meet salah, and يدفن في مقابرنا, and for him to be buried in our maqabir. All of that is because he was making salah with everyone. وإن أراد البقاء على الكفر وقال إنما أردت التهزي لم يقبل. So someone that is making salah among the Muslims, and he says, I was just making mockery, that's not to be accepted from him, because this is open the doors of making mockery of the religion. وكذا لو أذن ولو في غير وقته. The same thing if he makes adhan, because we take what outside appearance of the person is. And of course, this is if the rule of Islam is being applied. So someone might be trying the salah to check it out, for example, but he's not a Muslim. So this is not to be applied in where, as the ulama they say, where people, for example, they want to try the salah, they want to try how it feels to stand and to make ruku' and sujood and so on. Should we tell them no, not to do that? Of course, they should be upon the tawheed first, but if someone does it, it does not make him a Muslim, versus what is meant by that here is that becomes very obvious that someone is a Muslim. This is in the past something that people would see. No one would try out these types of things. That means it's very obvious, and it's something that is referred to the urf also. What's known among the people, that whoever does this, that means he's a Muslim. So the issue of lam yuqbal is referring to the statement of mockery, or referring to the ruling that comes along with being a Muslim. No, lam yuqbal, that means that he says that he's a disbeliever. He says, when he said إنما أردت التهزي, just wanted to make mockery. Lam yuqbal, the statement is not accepted. That means he is to be given the ruling as a Muslim. Right, so this is how the matter is now. It's like someone giving the shahada. Does that make him a Muslim or not? Right, of course, it makes him a Muslim. To give the ruling, to be at ease, to give the ruling that he's not a Muslim, right? This is a dangerous one. This is a heavy one. That's why it's he is not to be taken lightly, of course, and to avoid the mockery of the religion. If it was not for the hadith that the water of the ocean is tahur, would it be considered tahir due to the big change in its taste? Well, the water, anything that constitutes water is water. So whether it's salty or not, that's the original characteristics of the water. Is that what you mean? الماء طهور لا ينجسه شيء, or ماء البحر when the Prophet ﷺ was asked about the ocean or the seas, he says that هو الحل ميتته الطهور ماء والحل ميتته. The water is pure and the mayta, the dead animal in it, is halal. Everything else is clean, inshallah. Page 90. Could you please explain which 10 skin of animals allowed? Now, here the masala of ولا يطهر جلد ميتة بدباغ. So this is with regards to the jild, or the skin of the animal. Of course, if it's slaughtered, there's no doubt that it's pure. Now, if it's mayta, and if it's also an animal that is not permissible for us to eat, then it's not pure. But now this is mayta, that means the animal is permissible for us to eat, but it died without being slaughtered. So here the ruling is does not become purified even if it's tanned. This is, and it's a debatable issue, of course, but that's why he says here it's reported from Umar and his son Abdullah ibn Umar and Aisha and Umar ibn Hussein. وكذا لا يطهر جلد غير مأكول بذكاة كلحمه. The same thing with the skin of what's not to be eaten, even if it's slaughtered. So if it's something that we don't eat, if someone slaughtered it, the slaughtering is not the issue. It's something that is haram for us to eat. So from the original, it's haram. So whether it's slaughtered or not, it doesn't make a difference. The skin of it is impure as its lahm, or its meat. Because the subject of a dibagh here, is it not permissible because it's mayta, because it's not slaughtered? Yes, if it's something that is permissible for us to eat. If it's not permissible for us to eat, then it doesn't matter whether it's slaughtered or not. The skin of it is impure. And then ويباح استعماله, it's only permissible أي استعمال الجلد if it's pure, if it's slaughtered and it's an animal that it's permissible for us to eat. بعد الدبغ بطاهر, after it's been tanned with a طاهر, with something that is pure, منشف الخبث, to remove the خبث, في يابس, and so on. So this is as it's mentioned here, ولا بد فيه من زوال الرائحة الخبيثة, and the removal of the smell of what's not clean. وجعل المصلان والمصران والكرش والكرش والترن دباغ, the different things that they use for threads, or for things that they use for weaponry and things like this. ولا يحصل بتشميس ولا تتريب. That means if it's put under the sun or to put dust on it and things like this, it does not make it. This is kind of the details of how it's to be tanned or not. ولا يفتقر إلى فعل آدمي. Right, so it doesn't have to be an action that makes it pure. That means, as he says, the example, فوقع في مدبغة فاندبغ جاز استعماله. If it falls into مدبغة, the machinery of tanning, for example, without unintentional, and it becomes tanned, and it's permissible to be used. And this is also has to be but something dry that is not watery, because otherwise it contaminates the water, and it's all about not being tanned or not being pure. من حيوان طاهر في الحياة. All of that with the condition that it's حيوان, that it's an animal that is pure in its lifetime. مأكولا كان كالشاة أو لا كالهرة. Whether it's to be eaten or not, as the hirra or the cat, for example. But as for the rest, like the beasts and these types of things, and it's not eaten, then it's not permissible to tan it or not to use it, and everything else from it becomes not permissible. As we said, of course, this is the mas'ala, but as far as the difference, is something else, inshallah. Page 91, second last meaning, ويباح. نعم. ويباح استعمال منخل من شعر نجس في يابس. ويباح استعمال منخل. This is what's permissible here, and they say منخل here, as you see in the bottom, with the dhamma of the meme. So المنخل من شعر نجس في يابس. من شعر نجس في يابس. This is basically is the sieve, or what the ones that has holes in it. So you're having something that you put najasa in it and something else to sieve out and to separate things from something else. So if you have something in it, these sieves, I guess I'm saying it right, and it's the water, or the lines of it, the material of it is from شعر najis, from hair that is najis. But في يابس, in something that is dry, he says ويباح, that means it's permissible, right? So because the najasa does not get extended, that's the wisdom behind it. The najasa does not get extended to others, or does not get affected the things when it's put in it. Like for example, and they give the example, if you're riding a donkey, for example, the donkey is impure, but when you, it does not, it's permissible even though it's impure, and it's not permissible for us to eat its meat, but the najasa does not come onto you. So here this is with regards to the material of the munkhul, or anything that is used to sieve things, to separate things, and it's made from sha'r, from hair that it's najis, and it's dry, it's permissible to use it. It's not something that a person would wear. It's not something that a person would eat. It's just using it to sieve things, whether it's like rice or anything like this. I'm thinking, inshallah ta'ala, so that we take advantage also of the time. If you guys don't mind, we can start doing things. I don't want to distract you when it comes to studying for the exam, but we can start something on the side also. I don't know if I should just repeat some of the things that is mentioned, or to go to something else. Maybe we'll think about that, inshallah ta'ala, so that we can use our time effectively, inshallah. طيب, inshallah, we'll stop here, inshallah. طيب, barakallahu fikum. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept, inshallah, and reward you for all of this effort, inshallah. جزاكم الله خيرا، وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على محمد وآله وصحبه وسلم. والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.